So hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining my session today. Really pleased to have you here. Now, today's topic is about creating and cultivating a content culture within your teams. So what I'm going to talk about is some tips around how you can effectively create this culture in your teams. But creating a content culture doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get people to write content for you, right? So what it means is, how can they value content? How do they understand the value that content delivers, good content delivers for the business? And these are the tips. And basically, I'm going to speak from my experience. So every job that I've had in the past, I've been able to very effectively create this culture of content and excite people about, getting involved and becoming contributors. So to get started, I guess I'm going to share a statement that I believe in, which is the only thing that separates success from failure is good content, right? So what I mean is content is at the heart of everything that we do. And, it goes without saying, good content is, you wake up in the morning and you become a creator, a communicator, and contributor to content, right? When you start speaking, I mean, I wake up in the morning and I yell at my kids, right? They might not listen, so I change my strategy and I go, maybe I should talk to them nicely and create content that actually means something to them and they listen. So I'm starting to create my content. So content is not just about business. Every conversation that we have, every communication that we have, whether it's with our business partners, whether it's with customers, suppliers, whether we're writing an email or sending a text, it's all content. But effective content is what's going to get you somewhere, right? It's going to give you the success that you're looking for. So the only thing that stands between failure and success is good content. If you want to get what you want, you have to be able to create some effective messaging. The other thing I will also say is that good content, and I think Danish actually touched on this earlier, that it needs to be personalized and it needs to be relevant. Now that's really important, and I'm not going to go over it too much because I know that it's been covered. But one of the other things that I also have to tell you is that it also needs to be simple. It's the complicated pieces of content that don't really get readership. They don't get the engagement, because they're too complicated, right? Sometimes we like to use big words and we like to say, well, let's make it really, let's try and look really intellectual, but it's not going to work. People like simple stuff. Simple stuff resonates at multiple levels, right? Otherwise, you're pitching just at the academics or at a certain level. So even when you're pitching at the CIO, I'm from technology background, so I'm going to talk about CIOs, but it's relevant for everybody. Make it simple and make it repeatable, make it scalable, and above all, make sure that it's refreshable so that you're not stuck in like a message. So the way I look at it is, you've got a content, you've got your high level content, and then underneath that, you've got your pillars. So how are you going to create that content and where are you going to get your material from, right? Don't just try and go about making that stuff up, because it's not going to work. And ultimately, I think every piece of content that's good content, in my view, anyway, it has to be that WIIFM. What's in it for me? People must read to be able to get a benefit. If people have read something and they get nothing out of it, it's like, I'm none the wiser. I literally just wasted 5 minutes of my life that I never get back, right? So please make it meaningful for people. Now, otherwise, don't waste your time. I'll give you an example. And the way I look at it is, you invite somebody over for dinner and you create all this food and have nice wine and create a nice atmosphere for them. And you ended up, serving them something that they have allergies to, right? You did not find out from them what they wanted. You didn't take the time to understand their needs. It's a waste of time creating content that's not going to be relevant or provide a benefit, right? Something they're looking forward to. And so who holds the key to the best content? The power of good content lies with those who are closest to your customers. Everyone else is just guessing, right? In the front line, it's your front line. They have the stories. Whether you're running a restaurant or whether you're running a big corporation, It is the people who are in touch with the customers or your partners or your suppliers. They have a deep and real understanding of what the customers really want, right? If you're not going to listen to them and say, well, we have found out from our customers after having multiple conversations that that's exactly what they're looking for, you're just creating beautiful fluff. You don't want beautiful fluff because again, it's a waste of time. So don't make assumptions. You know, if you have access to the front line, make sure that's where you start, right? So I've been in the business of content for a very, very long time. And, you know, when I started at Boomi, so I was with Dell Technologies and I moved across to Boomi because my background is in tech startups. And every startup that I've been working in, the first you know, priority is to create awareness, because the point of a startup is, you know, they're new, they have a great solution, but not many people know about what they do. So when I started at Boomi, we had the same challenge. And it was like, well, you know, not many people know about our brand, but even more than that, not many people know what integration is, right? What is the benefit of integration? People kind of know what it is, but we don't really know how to communicate that effectively. And, you know, marketing was creating different messages. And I tell you what, I was looking at the marketing messages and then I went into discovery phase with the engineers, with the frontline, with the salespeople, with the business development reps, so the ISRs, the people on the phone, right? So who are taking inbound inquiries. And I found out something, that there was a really big gap between the marketing messages that were being created and what the front line was telling me, right? And there were two different things. So what we were assuming in marketing, because we feel like we are the best at creating content, right? Generally, yes, we are good at writing, but are we relevant, right? So we then, I discovered this big gap. So I communicated this with the team and I said, you know, do you think that these messages are going to resonate with the customers? And they said, not really, right? So then I went back and I realized, okay, well, who in the team is going to be, who is in the team has the most knowledge? And that's when I started to discover, you know, who my contributors are going to be. So I took the next step of identifying these contributors. And so here's what I did, right? I listened with an open mind. I wasn't going to say to somebody, well, just because you are a technical person and you're an engineer, you're not going to be good with customers. That's not true, right? And just because you're in sales and you talk to customers all day, you're going to be great subject matter expert. So you got to listen and observe with an open mind. You know, when you're in meetings, listen to who's talking, right? As a subject matter expert, which is point 2. And number 3, who's a storyteller, right? So just because somebody is a subject matter expert doesn't mean they're a storyteller. So you have to understand, you know, which one is the person you want to really go after first. And then what language do they speak, right? So the SME could be really speaking a technical language, which it's not clear to everybody else how, you know, what those terms mean. It could be very highly technical terms. But then there's a storyteller who tells a business benefit and a business story and wraps the messages up in a really nice way with a sequence. And they mostly do presentations. I used to watch people do presentations. I was like, well, he's a good storyteller, or she's a great technical minded person, but I'm not really getting much in terms of a story out of that, right? Ultimately, content marketing is storytelling. You have to tell a story. You have to tell a story in simple words. So I figure out who has the biggest egos. Oh my God, your frontline will have big egos. Sorry. So the people with the biggest egos are your low-hanging fruit, is what I call, right? And they're the ones who want publicity. They're the ones who want to be recognized. They're the ones who want to, contribute and people to read what they have to say or listen to what they have to say. So then you choose your people wisely, because you need a combination, right? You need a combination of a storyteller who has a little bit of subject matter expertise, who also speaks a simple language, not very, very highly technical language. And again, who has really big egos. So egos are very important, watch out for that. And then you have to work on that. Now, here's the thing, right? Now that you've identified your contributors and you're saying, okay, well, I know who the contributors are going to be. There is a really big difference between speaking and writing and then business communication, right? So here's the thing. So I wanted to share this with you because a lot of people think, oh, just because you can speak well, you can write. Why is it so difficult? Because here's the thing. Speaking is natural and common. It's informal, it's simple. We learn to speak from a very young age. It's not taught, right? So we, a child from the age of 3 months starts to recognize sounds. And, they can't read at the age of 3 months, but they can recognize sounds, and that speech develops quite early, earlier than reading and writing. So it doesn't need to be taught. And when we're speaking, there is some connection to the audience. We kind of like know who the people are we're speaking to. So it makes it easier. And then it's also multidimensional. So I'm talking to you, I talk with my hands a lot. So you notice that. And then I can express myself, right? I can express myself with my facial expression, with my eye contact, my hand movement. So it's multidimensional. Speaking is very much of a mix of expression and voice. And mistakes can be corrected easily. I can say something and say, sorry, let me fix that up. Writing, on the other hand, is a skill. So just because you've identified somebody who can create good content or speaks well or has good knowledge doesn't mean they're going to be able to write, right? Writing can almost stun people. And the other thing is we also have to take into account disabilities, right? So people could have dyslexia. They might be great at numbers. They might not be good at words. So, we have to take all of this into account when we're identifying the content creators or content curators or speakers. And it needs to be learned. So audience is generally also unknown when we're writing. So we could write a blog and we could put it on the website, but we don't know who's reading it. So we're writing for an unknown audience. And it's also single dimensional, which means that it's linear. So written is always linear and visual is multidimensional. So it's, that's why written, my next point there is it's open to interpretation. So I might have a preconceived notion in my mind, and when I'm reading something, I'm actually going to bring that preconceived notion in and I'm going to read from that lens. And then you go to the business communication. And again, it's an uncommon skill. So you're taking it a level up. Now it's a mix of speaking, writing, presenting. It needs coaching and it needs practice, experience, and confidence. So my objective when I started at Boomi and also in other organizations when I've started there, my objective has been to ensure that people are not all of a sudden scared. So as soon as I say to them, look, you're great, you have amazing knowledge. How about we put that, you capture that somehow? And straight away, their first idea is, she's going to get me to write something. And that's too hard. And you know what, I tell you what, we all carry that too hard basket, right? I have a really big too hard basket and I put a lot of stuff in that and I just put it away. So you cannot make it difficult for people. You can't stifle them and scare them off. So it's about one step at a time. Look, great content, as I talk about egos, stroke the ego, work with it, right? Don't be harsh on them. Don't expect that everyone's going to be able to give you exactly what you want. So I started to speak with different people and I said, well, how about we talk to an external writer? And all I want you to do is give me 5 points that you think are important or 5 things that the customers are hearing. And then let's put that down on, on an email. I'll send it off to, we hired some external writers because, as I said, writing is a skill, right? So knowledge is not a skill. Writing is a skill. Knowledge we have. So it's about how we capture and communicate that knowledge. That's really important. And now we're trying to, excite people about writing. We're going to give them something to be looking forward to, right? So how do we do that? So they started to, again, as I said, pick your people. So maybe I picked 2 or 3 people who I knew would be good. They spoke to the writers. We captured some of the information, we wrote it out, we sent it back to them, said, can you read it? Do you think it's good? And they said, yeah, it's really good. The next thing I did was actually put this out on our website, right? So with their name, their title, with, you know, their little sort of blurb at the bottom. And then after that, we decided to share it on social media, right? And when I was getting, you know, either the vendor or myself or somebody to share it on social media, I started to tag the executives, right, who I wanted these guys to get visibility with. So you put something on LinkedIn and then you tag them, and then they get, you know, then they get recognition, right, straight away from people saying, wow, this is great. Now, as soon as that happens, something else happens. You're going to get other people watching these people, right? And they're starting to get recognition. And what they're going to say is, I'm really scared of writing as well. I have knowledge. How did they do it? You know, I mean, okay, I want to do it too. And the other thing I was doing is actually taking, you know, the content that we had built. And this is very early on, by the way. The content that we had built, I would then take it into like a board meeting or into an executive meeting. And I would just say, oh my God, amazing stuff. You know, we got X, Y, Z, and give them metrics. Make it valuable for them. So give them metrics because they want to know what happened. I tell you, one of the earlier times, so we created some content and then we created byline articles out of it. So our PR agency took it and then some of the magazines published it. Now, the first question I got asked when I stood up and I said, amazing article. It was read widely. We had great engagement with it. And they said, so how many leads did we get out of it? And you go, oh, no, this is not about leads, right? So again, you've got to educate them that this is not about, you know, you can't just put something in a publication, which is a byline, which a publication has taken because it's a thought leadership article, and it's now going to start generating leads for you. It's not, right? It's creating awareness. You can't really measure it, but you can measure how many times it's been clicked on. You can measure the engagement, but it's not going to result in leads. But what you can do is we had these dashboards where we could see spikes in traffic on our website, spikes in engagement, and then spikes in conversions. And we could then from them say, you know what, because this went up, we saw a spike. And every time we publish something, we see a spike. Now that was exciting everybody because everybody in the front line and people in the front line, they are not about writing, right? To them, writing doesn't put food on the table. They have knowledge, but what puts all the food on the table is selling. So when they see that something has indirectly happened, now they're going to get excited about it. And then what started happening was people started to come to me and said, oh, well, you know what, I want to write. How can I write? And I know there's a few people in the team who actually have dyslexia. These people were so excited because all of a sudden they could write because I created a very even playing field for them, right? Said, everyone, just come to me. Now, obviously, as I said, you've just got to push back on some people too, because some people will just start to write stuff and send it across to you. Now you're sitting there editing everything and you're going, well, you know, there's too much stuff that now I have to go through. I have to sift through and I can't really do that. So as I said earlier, pick your people wisely, right? And then use their success to influence others who you want to create content, the engineers, the salespeople, you know, it could be the executives. A lot of the people say we just don't have the time. So you have to let them know there's value in it for you. Anyway, so the next thing is the steps that I've discussed. As I said, I'm not going to go, you know, too long because creating a culture, there is a formula to it. And I've told you about the formula. You know, it has worked for me in every single organization that I've been in. I have had people literally coming to me and saying, how can we create content? How can we bring stuff to you? And the other thing I was saying earlier on in the presentation was, don't think that everyone who is a contributor to the content is going to write, right? I had people in customer success bringing me customers, right? Think of your team outside of just your immediate team as well. So your suppliers, your partners, your customers, they're all a part of your team. Your customers will tell you, like whatever your customers are going to tell you is going to be more valuable if you put it on paper. And I said paper, you know, your digital paper, and you put it out there. It's evidence. So, I say, okay, well, our solution does this, this, and this. And then here's a customer saying, yes, that's right, because we did this. Now your customers are watching other customers getting publicity and getting published, and all of a sudden they want the same, right? And you'll find out over time, it's like you'll start to get people coming to you. And as soon as they see more and more success with other people, and then they get recognized, they will get more excited about writing. And encourage them never to, no matter how bad the article is, right? No matter how bad the idea is, no idea is a terrible idea. Every idea can be polished up, and you can make it look really good. Now, so to finish off, I guess what I'm going to share with you is create a level playing field. As I said, make it easy. What I created was these templates, right? So fill in your name, your title, and just give me 5 bullet points, literally, and just send it to me, and I'll do the rest, right? I'll then set up the interviews, and we'll go through some discovery and get your ideas and build something out for you. And please do engage professional writers. Don't try and write yourself. No matter how small your business is, content is going to get you the engagement you're looking for. Otherwise, you will not get the engagement. As I said, the difference between success and failure is good content, right? And then adding value to the contributors. Again, as I said, I did show them how it's adding value. I did show them what was happening in spikes in the traffic on the website, and create fierce competition, right? If you really recognize one person in a meeting, everyone else is going to say, well, I want that recognition too. Not everyone, a lot of people who have egos. So stroke those egos and create competition, and create that, you should write too, you should write too, you can get the same. And reward openly and shamelessly. Shamelessly reward people, right? You just wave their flag and talk to the executive, talk up the food chain, and tell everybody exactly what they did. And again, show immediate outcomes, right? And these salespeople, as I said, writing doesn't put food on the table. Contributing to the content, they have knowledge in their head, and they know that they can go and close a deal, right? With that, why should they come to you and spend time building content or giving you ideas or bringing you customers? Like, what's the value in it for them? You have to show them immediate outcomes. And that's my formula. And you know what? It's worked every time like a charm. So that's all I had to share with you today.